Last year we started off with a little greeting from our friend Alice Bixler, and I thought it was a great idea to do that again. So, you gonna roll up front, Alice?
Yes, I really am so excited to see all of you again after all these years. I feel that I am at my family reunion, and oh my God, you all showed up, and that made it so wonderful. But I also want to thank each and every one of you for, I know the ticket prices was high, but you got to understand, we have a dream, and that dream is to have a museum that BMX is going to be held in, where you can go any time of the year and see, and take your grandchildren, because it'll be your grandchildren, take your grandchildren to see what you were a part of at the beginning. And so, thank you so much for buying a ticket and coming to this dinner. And I really want to thank Dear Dutchman, our restaurant in Sarasota, our 𝐂𝐸𝐿 restaurant in Sarasota. Those people know how to cook. They're all in agreement? Thank you so much, Dear Dutchman. Y'all are great. I also want to thank the people that I've been working with for our foundation. Brian Fell did he designed our trophies, or our awards. And I think they're the most beautiful awards I've ever seen. And I really appreciate all your hard work, Brian, in making this look so wonderful. Then I want to also thank Jennifer Kratz. Jennifer, y'all might not know her, she's kind of new. I think she's only been in BMX about 10 years, right? Yes. Anyway, what I can tell you about Jennifer is she's a really smart woman, and the first thing I knew we needed to do was have a 501c3 in order to be able to collect donations. And thank goodness Jennifer has the right connections and was able to make that happen for us. And then she's also did such a great job of getting all your bios and your pictures. And as you can see, we have some beautiful pictures showing constantly. Then I also want to thank Ryan Nobby. Ryan is a very new BMX dad, but he did race BMX when he was a kid. Ryan, where are you? A little quick story about Ryan. Ryan did all of the graphic, all of the printing that you guys see. And I'm very grateful for that. But a really cool thing about Ryan is that you all might not know it, but I've had a Honda team since day one of BMX. And Ryan is now my coach in my Honda team because I can't get around good enough to take care of him myself. So thank you, Ryan, for keeping that Haps Honda going. The other thing I want to say thank you to is my buddy 𝐼𝐸𝐻 Miller. 𝐼𝐸𝐻 is the heart and soul of Sarasota BMX. You guys have no idea what she's done her entire life, but I know. I know that she was the national clerk for the National Bicycle League. I know that she's the reason that we have the Olympics for BMX, because she was at the very first one and ran the computer there. And so many other wonderful things about 𝐼𝐸𝐻 that you guys don't know. But she helped me all the time with everything that I have going. And I truly appreciate you, 𝐼𝐸𝐻, from the bottom of my heart. There's two more great people I want to thank for tonight. Rich Montalvo, you all know Taco. Anyhow, he's providing this display, and I hope you all are enjoying it, because I am. I got to see a clip here and there in between trying to figure out your name badge, and I think it's wonderful. Thank you so much, Rich. Then we have Of course, you all see, I hope you all see that 𝐂𝐚𝐥𝐥𝐿 is here. We inducted Tom last week. You all know that Tom's who we got all of our pictures from. Well, when Tom left, I had another guy for a little while, then this weekend was coming and we were worried because we couldn't find anybody. Then Bryan Fell said, hey, what about that new kid? So, Caden. Oh, right in front of me. I thought you were over there taking pictures. Anyhow, this is 𝐂𝐞𝐫𝐿𝐴. He grew up in the sport with his brother, and I'm very happy that you're doing this for us. This is absolutely going to be wonderful. Only thing is, I want a copy of every single picture you take. Okay. Anyhow, I really want to thank all of y'all, and I hope that you enjoy your award that you're getting tonight, and thank you so very, very much for being here. All right, let me give this back to John Doan.
To get this started, the Pioneer category, to get started, we have the speaker, Lenny Batycki.
I told my surgeon that I was going to take my PT to 𝐷𝐼𝐻𝐿 today by holding the microphone so I could talk to you without that dorky sling on after a shoulder replacement surgery last week. So awesome to see so many of you here. I'm going to try not to cry all the way through it because you all mean so much. But first off, I want to thank Alice Bixler, Norma, everybody that helped, 𝐅𝐚𝐦𝐿𝐴, and Bryan Fell, and all the phone calls I got from Bryan, and all the questions I still have that he didn't answer. Like, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? What am I going to be about? Also want to thank Rob Saladano with the camera in the air. Now wave at him, Rob. Rob, last week the surgeon cleared me to come, and I'm like, well, I can't drive all that way. And I called Rob, who was part of the Place for Wheels. He was part of the Kendall BMX scene, really helping get it started. And Rob said, yes, right away. It was like, why didn't you call earlier? And he's taken care of me and driven me down here and stuff so that, my wife doesn't go crazy that I'm down here by myself with my arm like it is. But thanks to them for doing this. And for anybody that isn't in love with the chair's not comfortable enough, the food from the folks isn't this or that. How long have you done BMX? 50 some odd years and all. And in those years, did anybody else ever try to do this? No, you guys did. You guys cut the ground. You made this for us kids in those days, especially the Pioneer kids, who never dreamed that we could do this. I remember the MPSA banquet in '77, and we were in some barn building like this, and it was just like the biggest day of anything. And to have a Hall of Fame now after that, how cool. How cool you did that for us. And I remember her in her red, white, and blue Honda Mickey Marty Smith uniforms and all those Haps Honda BAs that would come out there and whip us around the racetrack. They were always, you saw red, white, and blue, you probably weren't seeing checkers, because those guys were. So her teams were awesome, and the West Coast over here was no easy pickings for us, East Coast guys. Before I start talking about the Pioneer class, I want to give a little bit of an idea of what the 13-year-old Lenny Batycki saw in his early times at a BMX track, and what all of us pioneers saw. We didn't see electronic gates. We didn't see, internet. We saw wooden gates with a dad about right here holding a 2x4, probably had a heater going, had a brewski next to him, but he was trying, and we were already jumping the gate before he even had it pulled up, and trying to keep us from that. Our starting gates were about this high, especially at South Florida Cartway. It was about this high, and we made it through the first turn, and the berm at South Florida Cartway wasn't as high as these trophies. And we all had to go down there into corner number one, and guess what? We didn't all come out. And we push and shove our way, and then we had to go jump the Monza. The Monza was a paved corner of this go-kart track, South Florida Kartway, that banked itself up, looked like Bristol running tonight, and you had to go up and over it, and you'd like take your life in your hands and go off into not a well-manicured area. Not a well-manicured area, not a well-cut bunch of grass. You went over a pavement and landed in grass, and then you had another turn with a berm about like this, and then you had a mud hole. And you could decide, see the slick kids, I would follow them around, and sure enough, guys like Seth Bucceri, Bill Prince, they weren't getting their bikes dirty. No, so I would watch, and there was this little corner right here that you could cheat and go back down the front straightaway and not have to go through the mud hole. I went, oh, I ain't that dumb. I'm going to follow them. So that's how you would do it. But the cool kids like TJ, he'd come across all kicked out and not even get muddy either. But I wasn't that good, so I followed those cats over that way. But those days, county wheels, bicycles today, they were our internet. They were our social media. They were our Sports Illustrated. They were everything. To get a Tom Izor photo back in those days in one of those publications, I still got mine. They still mattered. And it wasn't just a post, it was maybe a defining moment. There are some photos that, man, I just remember the feelings that are in those pictures. And we tried to share some of them in what we did here, but there's countless ones that guys like Tom Izor, Bobby 5x5 Day, photographers that stood out there, and when kids went through the mud hole and didn't go this way and weren't timid and go that way, the mud splashed up on them and they had to ride back to wherever they were with their expensive camera with mud on it. But that was what Pioneer days were like. And they were wild, they weren't pretty. We not only had wooden gates with dads up there at different times of the day having unique cadences, but we also had one-handed starts. I remember going to North Carolina and having to hold my hand up about here off the bars, because that way the guy in front of us who pointed at each one of us at the NBL National on a cut grass track at a parking lot in front of a BMX bike shop, once he got to 8, he would go like that. That didn't mean we could go. We had to wait till the guy behind us with a pop gun. Pop the pop gun. NBL War of the Stars National, 1978, got second, still have the trophy. It meant that much. On a track that almost anybody in this room would go, ooh, man, you were the one having... There we go. I do that in live streams too, and the directors just kind of roll their eyes. But those were some of the pioneering days, and bike shop owners and track officials and sanctioned people, some of which I'll be speaking about, but guys like Tony the Peddler, Hialeah Speedway, another track, Hialeah Speedway BMX had a rubber band that you had to go. And that was really cool if you were over near where the rubber band was far away, but if it was tied here and gonna be coming back, well, those guys got to go first because you weren't getting stung. Because you was fixing to get stung if that rubber band hit you over there. So drawing better gate positions could mean a welt or a wealth of get out there and go fast. Dave from Wheeler Dealer, who helped BMX 84, Mike Eccarino from Mike's Cyclery, Art and Marie Beeler. And I talked to her earlier. You didn't go through Orlando unless you did two things. You had to pay the toll on the highway, and you had to go through a Beeler to get through there. Because they made BMX in Mickeytown what it was. They were the ones that kept the water on those tracks, kept them cut, kept the city off their backs, made sure that the gates were open when they should be, that the vandalism was taken care of before any of us ever knew that there was. Thank you. It was amazing. Dave and Irma and what they did here in Sarasota. I have my 1977 NPSA decal from the NPSA National that was here. What an amazing race to see that white track and going around. And I don't remember what the gate looked like back then. I usually back then just remember what it looked like with people going away from me. Dick Powell, BMX 84. We rode in luxury sometimes, 70s. There were 12 of us, 9 of us in the back of the Ford F-150 that went from South Florida all the way to Atlanta to get our butts beat at Power Strokers by the NBA guys that had came in from California that, oops, we didn't know. Mike Caron was so far in front of us by the time the gate actually hit the ground. Just amazing. But to see those days and just the Wild West that pioneering was back then, amazing. So we've got a class and a quick class. It's the smallest one of it. Bill Green was the one that was going to speak, and I don't know why he's not here, because I wanted to hear Bill. You know, that Kendall frontier, if you will, not only for South Florida BMXers, but really for the state itself, was opened up by what Bill and Rob and everybody that was down there did to give us what at that time was just a breakthrough track. We'd just gotten 𝐈𝐧𝐝𝐿 a year or two earlier, and that was a track that was pretty darn amazing. But when you had Kendall and all the things that went with it, and then Kendall hosted an ESPN race, they were doing big things down there, and we all benefited from it, whether we just went to show up and be moto filler or actually, did well there. That was a track that really changed a lot of what the sport, it lifted the sport for what it did. Bill Prince, I am as talented as any of us are here to rag on him usually for the many things that he likes to do, because it's a pretty easy target as the low bar. But without Bill Prince and without the work he did by himself for the most part, grinding out things that weren't always perfect, weren't always everything that you would want to be if you were a Hollywood producer, but it was a guy that was grinding it out in the pioneer days and taking the shots and the arrows, if you will, from pioneer stuff that mattered and built and never stopped and still doing it. And those cranky posts we all get to read on his Facebook isn't because he just wants to dog us about this or that. It's because his heart is still, 50 years later, really beating BMX. And one of the pioneers that we get to share with. Bill Madden. Gee whiz, Evel Knievel thinks you're crazy. How many surgeries have you had? I mean, my surgeon wants a picture with you. Amazing. The corner of Florida up there, Pensacola, Southern Alabama, whatever you want to call it, was owned and built, and the pioneer days in there, the trail, the first tire marks, those first knobbies were Bill's. And he never gave it up, and he taught and taught and taught and built in that area of Florida, or we wouldn't have had that area of Florida, because he's still grinding it out now. Don and Sarah Hutelin, amazing. Their kids are here, but I can tell you they're here. Their heart's here. Don's here in spirit, and the professionalism, the look that they brought, the lift that they did by supplying information to the newspapers, by supplying the ability to showcase Florida BMX to a world that thought everything was California. Well, they made sure that their kids and kids like me and Seth got a shot at least of looking professional enough to have the nation look at us and represent the FLA, because it was FLA back in those days, not just FL. Don and Sarah, amazing. The amount of things that they did, and the gift of their kids, and Bonnie still racing, really, really cool and special. Bryan Esser, George Esser, Mary Esser. George Esser, we don't have a mountain of any kind in Florida enough to have a Mount Rushmore, but him and Bob Krokker, who we'll be talking about, as far as sanction bosses and people that gave fire, took fire, pushed and built. George, along with Mary, because what George did to be Hollywood up front, to be the big guy, and the guy that, you know, was sitting there with the cigar and everything, well, whatever George would cut a deal with, Mary had to come behind him and make sure that that worked. And to make sure that what he promised also included all the things that were right about what the deal needed to be. They were a phenomenal team. I had the blessing of working at the NBL headquarters in 79, 80, alongside of Bryan Esser. I got to sell ads in Bicycles Today, which, you know, was an interesting part of a career. But Bryan Esser, to sit next to him and watch his hand create different pieces of art and to lay out pictures and to use the gifts that he had, not only the talent he had on the track, but the artistic gifts and the personality that just beamed across wherever he was. It was so special. And Greg, of course, who spoke here last year, I didn't wear a t-shirt and shorts. See, look at, I could have, but not like Greg. You know, the poodle. But that family did a tremendous amount. Bob Krokker. When I said NPSA, Bob was over this, I can't remember what town he was from, but Dunedin. Raced there at Dunedin. Oh man. I had got to do the not quite balanced start, but we came back from California and I'm like, well, I can put my toe here and it's almost balanced start. And ended up second at some national over there. But the NPSA was a sanction that had structure so different than we knew from what we had on the NBL side. And it gave both a water level mark or a target to rise. And yeah, there was bickering back and forth and things like that. But you can't have a rivalry unless you have a rival that is reasonably equal to you. And both NBL, NPSA, and it was NML when I signed my first license, by the way, National Motorcycle League. That competition might not have been pretty all the time, but both drove BMX to places that the other couldn't have done by themselves. So Bob Krokker was a guy that helped build, and all the ones that I've spoke to helped build where we are today. And the last person I'm going to speak about is a guy that, I don't know, 4 years I probably traveled up and down the roads with. He was the best man at my first wedding. I wouldn't let him be best man at the second wedding because the first one didn't work out. But he was the NPSA national #1. And he was that adversary that in those days, Greg Esser, Brian Webb, Randy Street, Roland Vike needed from that other sanction. He was the guy that was the flag bearer that, you know, they had to go through if, you know, they were going to win. And NPSA was thought of as the little guy, but when Seth lined up on the gate, they had to respect him because Seth was a guy that could pedal right along with him and beat him and do things that brought light to NPSA's side. So it was the competition, the grit, definitely not pretty, but the pioneers that I get to be a part of the inductee with, so proud. Thank you very much from all of us in the pioneer category. It's been great to watch the better things that all of you that past our time have made BMX. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Lenny. If I could ask all the Pioneer inductees to come on up. Stage right. Lenny, don't run too far away. Understood. Well, we discussed that about lining up alphabetically, but BMXers tend to do things their own way, so we figured they wouldn't pay attention. First up, actually, was Lenny. On the X. You know, Lenny, usually it's the shake hands and hold the award, but we did good. Hop on down and get your picture taken with Alice. Seth's coming. Wants to make an appearance, you know, make an entrance, that's all right. Seth Bucceri, come on up. On the X. Congratulations, Seth Bucceri. Oh, you gotta hop down and get your picture taken with Alice. That's, oh, yeah. You gotta, I mean, picture taken with me is no big deal, but Alice, that's the, do we have a representative for Essers? Great, come on up, please. For Bryan Esser, George, and Mary Esser. Take it after, okay? Bill Green. No, nobody for Bill. Doan and Sarah Hutelin. Congratulations. Congratulations, thank you. Representative for Bob Krokker. Okay. All right, Bill Madden. Congratulations. Woo! And Bill Prince. Congratulations. The officials. Speaking for the officials, Marie Kurtz.
Thank you. I actually used to be Marie Beeler. Alice Bixler called me a while back saying that y'all were going to honor my parents, and would I be here and able to talk on their behalf? And I said yes, because what an honor for a child to be able to talk about what wonderful parents they've had and their contribution to what they spent a lot of their life on. so forgive me. I tend to cry. And before I do that, though, I'm going to take this opportunity, I know I'm deviating, to talk about Alice and 𝐼𝐷𝐼𝐻. I know I don't look my age, but about 50 years ago, when we started in BMX, I had the chance to get to know these ladies and work hand in hand for many, many years. And although we didn't always agree, I would say 90% of the time we did. And I have to tell you, to see them here and what they have accomplished by never stopping for everyone in this industry, especially for the children. It was always about the kids. So I want to wholeheartedly thank you on behalf of my parents and my family. Back in, I have notes. In 1973 is when my brother Eddie, who was the middle brother, first got on a bicycle at our local community area. Our sheriff's department was having a bicycle race. So flat, around the parking lot. He hopped on it, he got this bike from his cousin, I believe. Mom and Dad were there, and the little young man won. And as soon as he did, that was it. Mom and Dad are like, okay, let's go racing, because that's what they wanted to do. So from there, they went to a track in Longwood called Bear Claw. So back in the day, just like Lenny was talking about, it was tires, woods, and nothing fancy. Mom and Dad are the type of parents that whatever sport the kids were involved with, they hopped in. They had to help. If you knew my dad, he always knew a better way, like it or not. But they were there, wanting to do whatever it took to be successful for their children and help the industry. So they got involved, and about, 2 years later, Dad met with the community, and he opened the first park racetrack in Barnett, in Orlando, the Barnett Park, 78. From there, he had the pleasure and the opportunity to meet up with George and Mary Esser. Back then, we opened under the National Pedal Sports Association. So George and Mary talked to Dad about why National Bicycle League is where they should go and what the meaning behind that was. And my dad agreed. The content and the offerings and the training they offered, he felt was much better. So then he got a hold of Alice and all the Florida tracks, and they had a meeting to decide which way they should go and why. And in their hearts, they really believed the growth opportunity was with the NPL. So I was really proud to see my dad be part of that leadership team, which brought the National Bicycle League not only to Orlando, but throughout the state of Florida. From there, one of his proudest moments, we moved from the Barnett facility, the county closed us, and then we had to go and find a new track. So my dad, he was in the know, he knew a lot of different county commissioners, different people and friends. Mabel Butler was one of his favorites in Orlando. Was able to secure the funding to open a track in the Central Florida Fairgrounds, which became known as one of the world-class tracks. At that time, in Orlando, he recruited the whole family. You did not say no to Art Beeler. So anyone that knew my father, he may ask you nicely, and then he would say, okay, now Marie. So he opened the track, and one of his proudest years, I think, was in 1985, when we held the World Championship. We had the state races, we had the national championship, and then we held the World Championship. And for him, what meant more than anything else in the world was when that rider would come up to him and say, hey, Mr. Beeler, your track, it's cool, man, it's the best. And that's what drove both him and my mom. They worked many, many tireless days. As many of you in this room still come to the house or come up to Orlando, one of his favorite treats, whether you liked it or not, was having one of his wiener dog lunches. You can say, okay, time to take a break, go over there, sit down, relax, and here's your hot dog for the day. And then if you deviated from the plan or you got a little distracted, he had a whistle. Did he not, Michelle? And he blew that whistle, and whether you were a parent, a rider, a referee, an NBL hotshot, as he liked to call the state and national officials, you made sure you finished your job and you did it right then and there. What I would like to do in closing, I want to read an article from 1980, and it'll just be a minute, that they wrote with my dad and mom when he talked about the sport of BMX. And I quote, "To the Beelers, motocross racing is more than just an award-winning sport. It provides our children with competition that is needed to succeed in today's competitive world," says Arnold. But more than that, racing teaches them responsibility. Philip, which is my youngest brother, is responsible for his bike, even though he rides for Robinson Racing Products, who supply the bike uniform and pads, and much of the equipment needed to compete on a national level. He is still responsible to help financing his hobby. He earns extra money by working in Eddie, his older brother's, paint shop in Orlando. There's another reason Beelers give as a good reason for racing. Eddie got his start by painting his first bicycle, and now has his own business. Only now he mastered the trade of painting and refinishing automobiles instead of bicycles. We didn't tell our kids they had to do something, but if they decided and wanted something, we backed them up and went with them. But it wasn't only the Beeler kids who benefited from concern and care of Art and Toni. They almost never went to races without some of the neighborhood kids. It's a hard, competitive, demanding, and strenuous sport, but the Beeler clan thinks it's well worth the effort. Art and Toni spend an average of 10 to 12 hours a week at Barnett Park, getting ready and officiating at the weekly races. Art and Toni are proud of their close-knit family group, family friends, and track supporters, and they're proud of the experience motocross racing has given them. Thank you.
Thank you. If I could ask all of the official inductees to come on over. And their representatives.
Love you with all my heart.
That's my job.
I don't know. Do the alphabetical order again. I'll give it a second while everyone's moving over here.
Get your old ass up there.
Thanks so much to Jen for keeping me in order here. Here we go. First up, for the Art and Toni Beeler. Come on up. Congratulations. Bostrom, I don't see Kathy tonight. Kelly Doan and Steve. extra hand. Congratulations. Next up, Jeff Kania. Congratulations, Jeff. Welcome to the Hall of Fame. Grumpy's not here? No Magmer. Charlie McGuire. Congratulations. John, sorry, doing this. John and Laura Pingol? Pingol, no. There's Pingol and there's Pringle, that's different. Congratulations. Laura Pringle. Congratulations. Gary Smith. Becky Szasz. Jim Sass. Next up is the industry category. Speaking on behalf of the industry category, Corey Allen.
Yeah, that's me. All I do is push buttons on it. No, but first I'd like to congratulate everybody being honored for their contributions and achievements. It's a long time coming and well deserved for everyone. So give yourselves a round of applause. I've been lucky to be not just in the industry, but I did racing. I raced for 10 years and then working profile for another 35. So that's 45 years of pretty much non-stop BMX, bicycle industry stuff. So I know a lot, I know a bit. Not as much as Rain Man, BMX, Phil Prince, close to it. First off, I'm going to talk about both. I'm going to talk about the industry and what it's taken us to make it through to this time right now, and also a little bit about racing too, because I've got some funny stories about it. First off, my father started Profile BMX in 1980. Profile itself was actually started in 1968, so if you do the math, it is 57 years. So we're making bicycle parts for 45, in business for 57, so probably doing something right. And when I look back at that, I go, well, it's kind of like, what are we doing? Because there's been a lot of hard times, not just for the bicycle industry, all different industries, but what we've kind of figured out, and not just us, look at Jeff DeVito from JD Cycle, MCS, he's done it right. The Morrisons, J&R Bike, they've done it right. Brian Fell, he's done it right. So, we're not the only ones. People figured it out. But what it is, I think, is that you got to find your niche. You got to find your lane. And you got to stick with it. You have to not get over-ambitious. Ambition's good, but too much ambition can cause you problems. You got to be able to do, I go to work every day and I do whatever it takes. I don't want to push everything off onto somebody else. And fortunately, at Profile, we are very fortunate. We have so many great people there that have been there such a long time. And they live BMX. They live the bicycle industry. And that's a big part of it too. Like I said, you gotta love what you do, and we do. So, want to thank a lot Matt Copeland, Gus Lanzilotta, and of course my parents, Jim and Nancy Alley, who've been there the whole way and are still there every day. As well as my sister Justine, she is there every day. My nephews, Logan, Jesse, Max, they work there as well. So it's not just one generation, it's 3 generations of Profile right now. So we are actually keeping it going. No slowing down yet. But as working at Profile, over time, you actually, I kind of think about it, I wind up almost not realizing how fortunate I am or what, I take things for granted. But like the other day, I get an email from somebody, hey, my kid and I, we found this bike at a garage sale. What year is it? We're gonna restore it and stuff like that. And that's awesome. I go, I'm gonna try, and I looked at it, actually, it was a 1982 Profile, has straight forks that didn't have a bar, it's pretty rare, you got a good find there. But stuff like that, what keeps me going. And like I said, everything I take for granted, but some things like that make me realize how fortunate I am and how well respected we are. You do the same thing every day and you kind of lose track of that. But what I have learned is that whatever there's a lot that goes into what we do that we take for granted also. When I was a little kid, we'd go to the races and then wouldn't think of a single thing besides just going to races. But there's so much that goes into that. There's the operators, the promoters, the parents taking the time to do that. Never thought about that. Till you actually get to be an adult where you actually realize that and appreciate that, which is what a lot of people here are being honored for, and I appreciate that. Thank you. The other thing, as being a racer, I am very lucky to been involved with so many great people. I looked at the people on this list getting awards tonight and I go, oh my gosh, I have so much history with all of those people. But there's a few I wanted to, we got Termite Hudson. I've been around, he's actually been part of like the Profile family, but he still is. We see him all the time. And then we got, a lot of times, like, when I first started racing, it was 1979. It's actually funny, the first race I ever raced was in Bradenton here. I forget where the track even was, but I know it was Bradenton. And then from then on, my father Jim started getting Profile, started building the name, we started having a team, and everything just seemed to explode after that. We actually wound up going on the road, and this is where I got really fortunate as far as like getting to know BMX, is when I started seeing all these people that we look up to now. Shelby James, his dad Rocky James, bless him, he actually drove us around for all the NBL Nationals during the summer, and we had, I'm gonna actually name them. All right. We had Jamie Burrows, who's passed Hughes Profile. We had Ronnie Walker. We had Shelby James, Johnny Turner, and who else? Bill Madden. That's right. But but learning, like going through all that and going through the races and stuff like that, it's just like that's what kind of shaped the person that I am. It's like hard work pays off, and then. In the end, when you actually, But after that, the racing itself, I feel that during the heyday was the mid-'80s. And then during that time, so many Florida racers were almost ignored, you could say. They were actually all West Coasters. Because all the West Coast magazines, all the media was based out of there. So Florida seemed to get ignored. So that's what's so great about this, is that we are being honored tonight and giving our recognition. And I told Termite, actually it's funny, the other day, we actually would debate sometimes, who's the fastest BMX racer you've ever seen? No, think about it for a second. We would go back and forth, and then you'd have like your, Gary Ellis. And I would always say like Steve Veltman. And then they would come up, and then like one day we were going, Termite. Termite, I think I know. We've been forgetting someone. I go, he goes, who? And I go, he was raced on Eagle Snacks with you. And he goes, who's that? I go, South Florida. He goes, Vince Asbury. And I go, yes, that is it, Vince Asbury. Probably one of the fastest people I've ever seen around the bicycle. So congratulations, Vince. And again, everyone, thank you for Florida BMX Foundation for putting this together and making this possible, because everybody here, they deserve their recognition. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. If I could ask all of our industry inductees to come on down. Just a reminder, silent auction's going on until the end of the ceremony. I think we're going to take a break here in a little bit, give you 10 minutes to stretch your legs and finish up the silent auction, but give us a second here. All right. Our industry inductees. All right. To start off with, our guest speaker, Kania. Congratulations. Got your picture? Hop off, get your picture taken with Alice. That's the $1 million photo. Jim and Nancy now. Congratulations. Oh boy, if I had my glasses on. Ron Can. No one's here for Ron. Jeff DeVito. Congratulations. Brian Fell. In the Hall of Fame, congratulations. It's Bill Grad. Nobody here. Gus Lanzilotta. Kirk Morrison. Lynn Swoope. Female racer category. Michelle Carnes.
Oh my God. Am I good? What moto am I in? Somebody get my lane? Oh man. What a great evening this is. It's just crazy to even be in this room. I can't even make this about me because there are so many people who have just been a part of my entire life. And I would not be here if it weren't for pretty much every single person in this room. You know, I started racing in 1982, Orlando, with Mr. and Mrs. Beeler in PSA. And I can still remember the smell of the Jofa that I wore. The big yellow helmet, my big huffy bike, my first bike. Yes. My mom, she quickly found out that we had to take the reflectors off and the chain guard, lighten it up a little bit. But you know, the first time I went there, I fell in love, and it was on from there. And just the racing part was such a big deal, but it was just such a family, and everybody was just so close. My mom got involved. She took me to Barnett Park pretty much every single day. I'd walk through the woods. There was little jumps in the woods back where I used to live in Pine Hills. And I'd walk there every single day, and it was just a practice day. David Milham would be there, his dad, pedal, 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 you know. But it's those memories, you know, just being here has brought back so many memories, and just writing, I wrote some stuff down at home, and I'm just like, I started writing stuff down, and it just brought back, you know, the traveling memories. You know, we would hop in the car, we would go to Orlando during the day, and then we would go to Jacksonville at night. I had a schedule: Saturday, Orlando; Monday, Bithlo; Wednesday, Daytona. You know, it was just Fridays, Sarasota even sometimes. But it only took us like an hour to get to Sarasota. It wasn't like 3. I-4 traffic. First and foremost, I have to thank my mom. Without her, I would not be here. And my dad, of course, but my mom was a super big part. She was in everybody's ear. And you know, I from the first time I went out to Orlando, I had Conlon Bike Shop. They sponsored. They gave me a little jersey, and I would take my bike there and get it worked on or whatnot. My big old Huffy, and then you know it was on from there, and you know. I think it was 1983, I think, Flying Wheels, Phil Green. I got on that team and I had finally made it. I was like, yeah, I finally made it. That was the NPSA, NPL, it switched back and forth, NPSA, NPL in Orlando. Going from there, and just the growth. And I remember I used to race this girl, Michelle Abrams, and she would always beat me. and my mom, what's going on, she would change my gear because it was the gear's fault. She would change my gear. And so I finally beat her one time, and she's like, oh, we finally got the gear right. So, anyways, you know, there's so many people, like I said, there's so many people here who have been such a big part of my BMX career. Alice, Irma, Dave, I love all of you guys with all of my heart. Dave, I always saw you on the field and on the infield, and I would always cut the track to try to go up to the front of the starting gate so I could get an extra lap in. And he would look at me and he'd be like, I see you. And I was just like, just don't tell anybody, dude. Oh man, I'm not gonna go on forever. I do have so many stories. You know, I was talking to Biggie earlier, you know, you kind of pick me up for a race, and I would just get in the truck, and I'm like, God, my mom was really trusting with a lot of guys. Why? I don't know. But but it is that was our thing. Like, we could just ride, and it didn't even matter because we were a family. And let's see, what else? We have world-class racing. That was next. That was a pretty big deal for me. Eagle Snacks. Where's my boys at? Mr. Fowler, rest in peace, rest his soul. He was amazing. Again, treated like family. I remember coming down here and we took our group photo, our team photo. I was like just this little girl who didn't know where she was going. And I remember Termite, I got in his truck too. and he had like this really cool truck, and it had like a lot of bass in it, and I was sitting right in the middle, and I felt so freaking cool. I was like, you probably don't remember that Termite, but I do. I think I was 11 years old. So, anyways, I am truly grateful to be here tonight for, you guys probably worked so hard. I can't even imagine how hard you guys worked on this, so thank you so much. Thank you for allowing me to be here, allowing all of these awesome riders to just come together. Like, I think that's the most important thing, that we're here together. It's truly an honor. I'm not really sure, yeah, it's okay. I'm not really sure how I got the honor to speak, which I'm terrible at, by the way. But I do want to go through this list of these awesome, phenomenal women who are just amazing, who have worked their butts off, and I feel like they deserve their own spot. You know, I'm standing up here, but I feel like you guys have all of you need your time as well. So when I call your name, if you want to come up, I would love for you to join me up here. Amanda Carr. This girl right here, I absolutely love watching her race. Her style, amazing. And she does so much now for everybody and all the kids, and I love it. Amanda Getting. Little blonde girl racing through. Thank you for coming up. Where am I at? I loved watching Amanda race. She She dominated, and you deserve to be out here for sure. Bonnie Hutelin. I know that you started way before I did. But a lot of us girls looked up to you, and thank you. Let's see, Heidi Mersola. I don't know Heidi very well, but I see her name everywhere, and apparently she was the first fast girl, and I was the second. Let's see, Lindsay, my girl Lindsay, can you believe it? I absolutely love this girl. She has so much heart, and her sister Lauren, she's unable to be here, but it's okay. I love both of you girls so much. Maddie, this girl was rocking and rolling on a mountain bike. Thank you for coming up. Oh, Jesus, I need my heels. All right, Jessica Tills. She's like the most beautiful girl around the track. She was a cyclocraft rider, and I always looked up to her watching her race. Kim is not here. I don't know Kim. Julie, Kim's here? Oh, Kim's here! Yay! This young lady is a true pioneer woman who paved the way for all of us girls. So thank you. Kim Wyatt, Julie, and Jennifer Green. I know they're not here. It is. And I would not want to be in the gate with any of them. So many stories to tell, so many things that I could say about all of these women, and I'm truly grateful for all of you too. So I'm going to end it with that. So
we're BMXers, we can improvise. All right, we'll start here. Michelle, come on out. Michelle Barnes, congratulations. Next up, Amanda Carr. Congratulations, Amanda.
I know.
Amanda Gavin. Congratulations. Bonnie Hutelin. 𝐈𝐧𝐝𝐿 Congratulations. Monica Kelly. Ashley Nero. Nobody. Lindsay Pecorino Long. Lisa Motley. Madison Pitts. Congratulations. Shonda Shaughnessy. Somebody picking up for Shonda. Jessica Towles. Congratulations. Kim Groner Turner. Congratulations, Kim. Also got, well, now here on the sheet, I've got as Kim Wyatt, but I'm being told it's Kim Wyant, W-Y-A-N-T, is that correct? Yes. Okay, so we're gonna have to correct that. And Julie Green Yesman, Jennifer Green Young. Well, that's our female racers. Congratulations to all. Next up, the men. Male racers, talking for everybody. My friend, the O Show. I was going to tell him I saw a spider up here earlier, but
well, hey guys, we're here. Florida in the house. All I can say is, from all my early years of BMX, I just want to thank Alice for keeping us all together and her tenacity of going to the President's Cup, making sure we were number one. And, you know, it didn't matter if you were a male or female racer. We all raced hard so that we can go and kick everybody's butts. I love all you guys. It's been so long since I've seen you. It's such like having family come back together like a family reunion. I miss all you guys. I wish we were all out there racing, but of course we got older and we can't do it anymore. You know, the other day they saw me, Alice saw me for the first time with my glasses. I was like, yeah, I need those to see. Just to take you guys a little bit back in time. When I first came or saw a BMX track, I immediately fell in love. I already loved riding a bike. I was that kid in the hood, putting a board on a brick, jumping to flat, just hanging out with all the neighborhood kids, and then drove by Sarasota BMX, and it was like, oh my God, there is a course with jumps, and we can ride there? Get out of here. So, of course, I jumped the fence. Jumped the fence, met Joel Simmons, I met Fred Canary. I didn't know who Fred Canary was, and I was just sitting there riding, didn't know any. I had Michelle, I had my Huffy Challenger 2000, Yeah, you couldn't talk to me because, you know, that bike was awesome, I thought. Probably weighed 50 pounds, and I was jumping the first jump in Sarasota BMX to the tabletop. But going back, my first big race, 1986 state championship down in Cape Coral. That's really where it all began. You know, so how many of you guys remember back in the day, 3 races to be a beginner, 8 first place, then for a novice, then you became expert. Well, in 11 races, I became expert, right? So I was an 11-year-old novice looking back at it now. Because there's no way I was an expert in 11 races. So the biggest thing that drove me was just winning, right? So I was pretty much out of control, had a lot of power. Cape Coral had these rollers down the first straightaway, and they had these massive doubles down the second straight. Well, at this point in time, I just wanted to win so bad, and I knew the big teams were coming. So Jay Harvey back there knows. All I wanted to do was jump these doubles. So Mr. Corey Denberger back there, right here, I was there practicing one local night, and I saw Corey jump these doubles, and I was like, well, I guess I gotta do that. I watched, I studied Corey. All right, he made it again. Oh, this is the way he did. All right, so it was my turn. I prayed. I said, here I go. So I railed that first turn, and oh my God, at 11 years old, I made those doubles. So I was one of probably 4 people jumping those doubles. So when the state championship came around, I was like, yeah, I gotta jump these doubles to win. Because I know I can't get down the first straightaway. I didn't know how to come out of the gate. So it's either jump these doubles or we're going home. And you know what? I jumped those doubles every time. I went from like 4th to 1st, and I think the entire place went crazy. So after that, next thing I know, I saw all the teams, you know, WP, Eagle Snacks, Titan, World Class Racing, MCS, and my next goal was to get on one of those teams. Well, thanks to all you male inductees here, you guys are the ones who made me, because I sat and I studied and I watched and I studied and I practiced and I studied. So thank God we have such the talent that's sitting in this room right now, because my hat goes off to all you guys, because you guys and girls, don't get it wrong, because Michelle will probably snap me out of the gate to this day right now. 100%. I used to go to Orlando, get on the gate next to her, here we go, I'm gonna get you this time, girl. Nope. Half a bike. I'm like, Jesus. You know, there's just pure talent, you know, so just like I said, just riding with everybody, driving from, like back in the day, you would race Sarasota on Friday, you drive to Orlando on Saturday, you might hit Daytona or Tampa on Sunday. That's what we did. And there was some superstar in every track that could teach you that you were not awesome. You thought you were, but you were not. So they humbled me to death. And I'm sorry, but I took all you guys' skills and I rolled them up. And if I had to, bring it out. I'm work this out for this race. If I knew they got a good gate, well, let's take a couple gates over this way, so he won't cut me off. Yada, yada, yada. You know, it all worked out. But in the end, like I said, thank you guys for being awesome. And just like you, Michelle, thanks Termite for taking me to practice in that cool truck. My mom was pretty, yeah, you can jump in there, no big deal, Termite can take it. Termite will put $1 worth of gas, and we would go from Sarasota to St. Pete, and we'd be coming back across the Skyway, looking at his gas down, going, bro, we gonna make it? Yeah, it's cool, it's going good. I'm still doing it. 100%. Termite was pushing that truck, boy, let me tell you. 100%. Gosh, I just remember the days of no clip pedals, right? we were so crazy that we would take those hutch pedals and those, what was it, bear trap cages, those 𝐸𝐴𝐺𝐥 cages, then we'd take that foul. Next thing you know, you had a bloody sock. Thank God for hammer gear. Jeff, yeah. We couldn't, you know, I could not, or any of us, we couldn't do it without all those beautiful sponsors out there, right? Florida had some awesome sponsors also. You know, of course, my hat goes out to Jim, Allie, and family over here. I love Profile all day long. Even at the beginning, it was Eagle Snatch Profile. They was always there, right? We wore the Profile, had the little bar in the middle all day long. The next jumped on those MCSs. Love my Hurricane. Love my Hurricane. You know, Cybercraft was in there too. I think every single BMXer on the planet had a pair of 𝐷𝐸𝐴𝐺𝐿 bars. I know I rode mine for probably 10 years, at least. I would switch them out. It didn't matter if I rode for free agent, 𝐷𝐸𝐴𝐺𝐿 bars. Got on RevCorp, 𝐷𝐸𝐴𝐺𝐿 bars. Came back to Profile again, I was like, do they still make 𝐷𝐸𝐴𝐺𝐿s? just had to have the bars. And I believe Florida put out the highest caliber racers at one point in time for a long period of time, because just like I used to look up to Ron Walker, Todd Corbett, Bernard the Hitman Gant, and you know you are. You know, Eric Alvadessa, so strong. Can't even talk about Chevy James. That guy wasn't even human. I remember being in 13 Open going, oh God, I gotta race this dude. Literally, he would beat people by a whole straightaway. How do you compete with that? And then after looking up to all those guys and wanting to be like those guys, there was another side of it also. Then you have the younger guys coming up that were watching us ride, and you knew at one point in time you're going to have to race them too. So these younger guys were coming up with these new skills like slingshotting. What is that? I was like, what? Pull the bike light back and then go, oh, that's cheating. That's straight cheating. And you know, just going through all the decades of just having to mold with the competition, and just the riding styles had to change, and dude, Florida had the most national champions. They had the most world champions, and we are still in this room today. Michelle was a world champion, Bernard's world champion, Lanthorn, right? 100%. Oh yeah, he said 3. Yeah, Turner. We're in Florida. Every time I went to the Worlds, I was comfortable. Why? Because I was riding with the same people I grew up with. How about that? So, just like, so Michelle kind of took my idea, but whatever, we're gonna keep rolling. So there are 42 male inductees. Could you guys, it's a small stage. Well, how about this, in front of the stage? Will you guys come up here? You guys know who you are, or I will start reading lists. Let's see, Eric Alvadessa is not here. We got Steve Aguilera, David Argyle, Vince, my hero over here. He was my childhood hero, Mr. Vince Asbury. Eric Martell's Big E. Yeah, right here up front. 100%. Mike Brett. Oh my God. This guy never lost a race. Jamie Burrows, oh well, he's not here. Nelson Chandy, oh God, I remember Nelson Chandy. He was just older. I used to sit there just watch. He just never gave up, and he would come through. Where's Mr. Corbett at? TC, Todd Corbett. Come on, Todd. I used to watch you and Skywalker go get busy. Oh yeah, 100%. Trevor, where are you, Trevor? Mr. Vince Critchfield, there you are. There you are. Is Tyler Ferocious Farrell here tonight? Come on, Mr. Farrell. Nelson Fulcher. Come on, Bernard. Bring it on. Where's Mr. Gomez? Gomez! Now this other racer, of course, could not be here tonight. I love this guy to death. This is Mr. 𝗙𝐿𝐴𝐼𝐻𝐿. All right, Mr. Cool Truck, where's Termite? Bring it on, Termite, here he is. Let's see, John Hutelin. Boom, Mr. James is not here tonight. Oh God, this next name, how many people want to do the judge? Mr. Timmy Judge, everybody wanted to do the judge. 100%. Mike Campus, come on now. There's Mr. Slingshot. It ain't illegal, it's legal. Greg Lanthorn, bring it. James Levy. Kevin McDougal. Where is Mr. Bling Bling CJ McGuire? CJ. Oh my goodness. Where's Dave Milhelm at, dude? Listen. Dave Milhelm, you guys know Dave, right? 44-14? What is that? I used to watch his feet curve around the pedals before there was clips. Like, the reason why I ran a 47-16 is because I could not run a 44-14. That guy was incredibly strong. My hero. One of my heroes, I should say. Let's see, what we got? Josh Myers. We got Myers in the house? I don't see Josh. There's no Josh. We got to catch up with him later. Randall Neve. Petey Peter. So once again, we have come across a brother from another mother who will not be joining us tonight. This gentleman right here, when I first turned pro, I knew how to ride a bike. I had some pretty good skills down, but I wasn't quite as strong as I could be. He was the first guy who took me to the gym, who taught me how to work out, taught me how to do squats, and put some muscle on me, and that would be Mr. Adam Richards. What you guys don't know is I lived with Adam for probably about 6 months in Orlando, and the bomb turned me into the bomb. Shaq Shaughnessy, he's like the dad at the World Championships, and he was like the dad, he's like, hey, you want some beer? Come on, let's hang out. You want to go over here? Oh yeah, Shaq was awesome. And then another brother from another mother was Tony Sheets. Love Tony to death. Tony always ran a huge gym, super huge. He was like a big teddy bear. Love you, Tony. Terry Shoup, where are you? Where are you, Mr. Shoopers? Shoopers over at the Worlds all day. There he is. He's like, I'm just gonna hang out. Gary Slater, bring it. Gary being the guy standing on the side like Thompson Percy, you got this. All day. Jungle Pops. Jungle Pops. Let's see, we got Joshua Summers. Tony Sanaka. Mr. Schwinn. Come on now. Love watching this guy ride a bike. All day. Johnny Turner. Where you at, Johnny? This is Roland Vetch. Bike. Roland Bike. He was. Oh. Ronnie Skywalker. I tell you a story about me and Mr. Skywalker. I used to run track. I used to run track in middle school, elementary school, and high school. I used to set all kind of records in track. So one day I thought I'd pick on the big guy, and I challenged him to a foot race. Big mistake. That dude could run. He blew my doors off. 100%. Let's see, Brian Webb will not make it tonight. There's another one we lost. Beanie Wright, come on down. And last but not least, one of my other profile brothers in the house, Mr. John Pringle. Bring it. So all these gents right here, these all, whether they're older or they're younger, they're my idols. I watched every single one of these guys ride, and I loved watching every minute of them, and my hat goes off to all of them. And I thank the foundation for having us here. I thank the foundation for giving us these awards. And trying to make this short and sweet. Good night.
If all of you gentlemen could line up in the middle and face the camera, and he's going to stand up and kind of take a photo down. Audience, please smile. If y'all could come around this way, stand up. That way we can fit everybody in. Yeah, the shorter heights in front, taller heights in back.
That was the fun part. Now you get to come up and get the trophy. Certainly. All right, it's getting late enough in the night. Oh, there we go. That's much better. Understood. All right, male racers. 𝐅𝐸𝐿𝐴, not here.
I knew it was you.
Steve 𝐸𝐸𝐿𝐴, thank you. Steve 𝐸𝐸𝐿, no. David Argyle. Anyone picking up for David? Vince Asbury. Vince Asbury. Congratulations. Eric Bartoldas. There you go. There you go. Don't run away, you gotta go talk to Alice. You know, you gotta check in and report to Mom. Mike Brand.
See the picture I took of you? No, I recall.
Oh. Jamie Burris, is anyone picking up for Jamie? No. Nelson Shanaday. Nelson. Todd Corbett. Oh, Trevor Fell. Nelson Folger. Anyone picking up for Nelson? Bernard Gant. Come on down, DJ. I might know him. He looks the same. Raul Gomez. Yes, Spanky's right here. Spanky Gravenmeyer. Accepting for Spanky's his father and his daughter. Termite. Termite butts. Oh, he's got the Java picture and everything. John Hutton. Shelby James. Nobody's picking up for Shelby. Tim Judge. Not here. Mike Hopkins. Capes. Ray Landor. James Lundy. Is anyone picking up for James? Kevin McDougal. Nope. CJ McGuire. David Miller. No. Tonight, Josh Myers, Randall Mead, Chewy. Ooh, that got a nasty look. Percy Owens. Look at this picture. Wait a second. Look at this. What is that? Petey Peters. John Pringle. Do I say sheetrock? What? Is anyone accepting for Adam Richards? Shaq Shaughnessy. Anyone picking up for Tony Sheets? Tony Sheets. Terry, shoot. Terry, shoot. Shoot. Let's see. Gary Slater.
Did you? Yes.
Look at this.
Want me to help you fold it? Please. Can I hold this for mommy?
Congratulations. Joshua Summers. Oh, Josh.
Pick that up.
Toni Beeler. Johnny Turner. There we go. Go right him off the side of the stage. You're good. There you go. Check in with Alice. There we go. Rolling bike. Tom Walker. Oh, he hopped in.
He's tall.
Everybody get in. Congratulations. There we go. There we go. Congratulations. Is anyone picking up for Brian Webb and Benny Roddy? Thank you so much. Now, before we do the freestyle, finish things up here. Freestyle new to the Florida BMX Hall of Fame this year. Speaking for the freestyle folks, Dave Bryan.
Speaking of leftovers, we do have the freestyle inauguration here, so I would like to thank Irma, Alex, Jennifer, and Brian for all the hard work they did. Rich for doing the video here. So what we have here is a very unique blend of riders spanning different eras and genres of BMX. And they've also done a lot of things outside riding to help promote and grow the sport. So I'm proud to say these guys are my friends. They're BMX brothers, and we also have quite a few Eskimo brothers in this group. We're going to do this a little bit different. I'm going to introduce the first guy. So the first rider in the Florida BMX Hall of Fame for freestyle is my buddy 𝐅𝐴𝐴𝐿. And Bob, we spent many years doing the Florida AFA contest series, and then we started going and doing the national stuff, and we had a good time doing it. We would steal gas, we scam food, we did all kinds of shady stuff along the way. So it's always a really good time. So, all right, let's turn up 𝐅𝐴𝐴𝐿. Alright, so I'm actually the next guy, so I can't really tell any stories about myself because I don't want to incriminate myself. My girlfriend's here, I don't want to go home single. So, but I would like to thank everyone who supported me over the years through Profile Racing, Vans, GT Bicycles, Matt Hoffman, McGuire, Matt Copeland. So, thank you guys. The next rider is the only it's Marlo Bennett, so he also didn't make it tonight. So we actually have 2 trophies for Marlo. We have a regular size one and then a Photoshop one that's a little bit bigger than his normal trophy. And then, you got it? So, it's just, you didn't have the photo up there. So. Okay, so then the next one is the only guy in this group that I don't know, and it's Donnie from Tampa, and then he also wasn't able to make it tonight. So, the next guy that we have, I met this kid when we had a warehouse in Melbourne called the Brothel. And this kid would come over from Tampa and he had this huge chain wallet and these big sideburns, and his buddies would come over all the time and shred. He now works for Profile Racing and does a ton of stuff for BMX, all the events and whatnot. And on a personal note, Matt has also done a lot to support me and my endeavors over the years, so I know we're not supposed to swear, but fucking thank you, and this is Matt Copeland. So the next rider is a Wisconsin transplant. He's opened 2 skate parks in Florida. He has a bike shop, does a ton of events. He's helped open up skate parks, helped to get new additions to skate parks. He's won 3 Nora Cups, arguably one of the best flatlanders of all time. That's Mr. Chad DeGroot. Alright, so this next guy is a little interesting story because we needed a certain amount of riders. And me and Bryan were talking like, we don't know who left, there was no votes left. So me and Bryan were on the phone, we said, okay, the first person that texts us, or call us, they're in. So that would be Mr. Terry Donnelly. Now I'm totally kidding. Terry puts on a lot of events in South Florida. He helps us with the Florida BMX series as a judge. He's an avid BMX collector. And if you guys have any stickers, we'd be more than happy to have them. Alright, so this next guy, I met he was a young kid. His parents were here today, Mary and Paul. We used to ride flatland at the bike shop on Saturday, and then we would go to the halfway. And we would ride there for hours. So I have this photo of this little kid about this big, wearing full leathers on the halfway. So years later, the kid kind of disappeared, and then we heard about this little shredder down in Palm Bay, and it turned out he was Chris Duncan. So Chris Duncan is an X Games medalist, aggressive tricks. He's also he does stand-up. Now I wouldn't say stand-up comedy, but he's not funny, so we'll just call it stand-up. Alright, so this next guy, amazing rider, one of the stylish dirt jumpers, and these both guys here dirt jumping, they had the hardest as a Florida dirt jumper because it's all sugar sand here. They had the jumps with carpets, so they had to work twice as hard as people in other areas. So I'd like to hear from Mark Mobile. And I do have a question I've always wanted to ask Mark. Are you a short man or a tall midget? Tall midget. Mark Mobile. Alright, so mentioned earlier that we used to travel around and we would steal gas and do the second window trick at McDonald's, and that's when we were all unsponsored bros. So this next rider had a full factory ride on GT and got caught stealing in the GT van. It was an awesome story. The only better story about the GT vehicle is one that Bryan Fell has, so if you guys want to ask him, because there's children in here, so you can ask Bryan and he'll let you know. So let's hear it for X Games gold medalist, Mr. Rob Melly. Alright, so this next guy here, I did shows for GT in the 80s, and it was his mother was the one that put on the contest here, and she had a show team. So me and him used to do these shows together. So he worked at Sears at the time, and I would go down on a Friday night, live up in Melbourne, and we'd go to Sears, and they had these big buckets of broken tools. So he would get, he'd bring the broken tools home, and I would take them back and return them. So we were splitting a few $100 in the 80s, that's quite a bit of money. So we're doing the shows the next day, we kept saying, we're getting paid, we're getting paid. His mom was like, you're making $50 a day. She had no idea what we've been doing. So if we get everybody to stand up, so I introduce the last inductee of the night, Mr. Lynn Swoope. And tonight was a little long-winded, so I kept it short and sweet, so thank you guys for having us.